Wait, okay, I'm gonna nitpick tiny thing. Let's just call it waterfall since the name of the diagram is a
Oh,
waterfall.
sorry, yeah, it's not a candlestick diagram. Sorry. You said trading and I had like a candlestick diagram in my head there. And if you don't really understand what I know about, you could also do like a deep dive. It's not called deep dive again. Sorry, I promised I listened.
Drill through.
Drill through. Thank you.
Watch as Holly renames every product in Databricks.
Give it time. It will be renamed.
Hello, and welcome to Over-Architected with Nick and Holly, where together we are experts in AI and data engineering, but separately, not so much. And this is a special, spooky episode of Over-Architected. Hey, Holly.
This is the podcast where we talk about new features in Databricks and then try to shoehorn them into a single architecture to see if it's actually realistic. Here are our favorite features from the last 30 days. And I think I am going to go first with this one.
Thank God.
Well, this is something that I know that you and I both have been waiting for a long time, and that is Zerobus. If you've not heard of Zerobus before, this is ultimately a way to be able to ingest data with an API directly to a managed Delta table. So the aim of this is if you've got an app that can't really kind of buffer data into kind of files, so think IoT or like event data, where previously you would have had to set up some kind of message bus and then pick that up with Spark Streaming. That's quite difficult to set up. That is a nightmare, Halloween theme. And I will make this work. Now you don't have to spend a lot of time setting that up because that can be quite error prone. It can be quite intensive, and recovering from it can be quite difficult as well. Whereas now we have brought out Zerobus that aims to simplify that dramatically. So a couple of features about the details. So in terms of API types, we've got gRPC APIs at the moment, and I think soon we're going to have REST APIs and OTel as well. In terms of the connection, the throughput is pretty impressive. It's about 100 megabytes per second per connection and about 10 megabytes per message. At present time of recording, the latency is about 5 seconds, but the aim is to get this to significantly lower by using things like write-ahead logs.
Amazing. I've been waiting so long for this feature. I actually have been waiting long enough that I forgot that it was something that I really wanted. I just have one use case in mind that I vividly remember, where we had a bunch of different writers writing into Delta, and what we had to do was to actually write our own committing service using the Delta RS library. So we were just dropping all the files that we needed in Parquet directly and then writing the commits asynchronously. And, if this feature had existed at the time, that would have solved so many problems. So very exciting feature.
So a couple of things. So it is region dependent as well. I think GCP is coming soon. It is free now, actually. I think there's a trial of about 6 months. So try it now whilst it's free. But pricing is eventually going to be per gigabyte of data ingested, and it's going to count as a serverless job SKU. One of the conditions is that it does have to match your table exactly. So you can't have any flexibility on like the schema of the table. It doesn't evolve over time. The idea is to be quite fixed so that you're getting the right data and that you are not just kind of like putting things in there kind of willy-nilly. A couple of downsides at the moment. So there are no transformations in flight either, and that kind of links into the very fixed and rigid schema. There's also no fan out at the moment either. In terms of how you set this up, at the moment it does use PAT tokens, but it will be moving to OAuth in future. There are loads of tutorials. I'm going to put a link in the description below because there are quite a few to get you started as well. So, bearing in mind that you haven't seen a tutorial, how are you going to add it to the diagram?
Well, luckily it's the first thing, so it's not rocket science for me. First of all, we need an actual use case. So as usual, the scariest, spookiest part of this entire thing is what is going to be the use case. So we're going to have our Delta table.
Yep.
And what's like a Halloween themed thing?
It's going to be an app base. So we need like events data. We need Halloween events.
Okay, so we're trick-or-treating. You and I, all Databricks employees, Bricksters, are Halloween candy getting. Trick-or-treating? Trick-or-treating. So we're trick-or-treating, and we're sending updates. in real
What
time?
about what if we have an app and we are having a competition of who lives in the best area and gets the best sweets, or sorry, I should say the best candy. And we have an app and we can like, I don't know, take a photo of the sweets so we can like fill in a
Oh
form
my
of
God.
like what sweets do we get from which areas. And then we can have a data driven Halloween. How does that sound?
It sounds good. I'm a little confused with the photos and that part. So let's start
Uh,
by drawing our trick-or-treaters. How's that?
okay.
So we have our trick-or-treaters.
Yeah. They have an app.
They have an app. Is the
Mhm.
app in Databricks? Or do you mean they have like a mobile app?
It just needs to be like some kind of IoT device thingy, so it doesn't have to be a Databricks app.
So let's just say we have apps on our phones
Yep,
and we take pictures of the candy that we get,
yep.
and that sends, the app automatically kind of figures out using image recognition, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what candy you have. And it
Yeah.
sends the details of the candy and the location you got it from naturally
Mhm. Yep,
to a Delta table.
yeah.
Sound
And
good?
maybe like any metadata, like got good sweets, but had to put my hands in peeled grapes and they told me it was eyeballs. I don't know. Not worth it.
Okay, that's what it's going to be. So we're going to have all our writers go in here.
Uh-huh.
So from each one of our trick-or-treaters, to Zerobus, and then that writes to the Delta table. And what are we writing? We are writing candy metadata.
Yeah.
Candy metadata. Um,
Delicious.
this is delicious. That's a good start. Are
Yeah,
you
I
happy with
like
this?
it.
Okay,
Excellent.
we don't exactly know what we're doing yet, but that's a good start.
You spoke about we could do some stuff with AI with this, so why don't you hit me with an AI feature?
Actually, it's a perfect feature.
Right,
Didn't even
okay.
realize this. You're going to be excited. So, big thing, Databricks Foundation models now support multimodal input. The key multimodal thing is images.
Right.
So we now make
Sweet.
it super easy to query GPT suite of models, the Anthropic models, the Llama models, so on and so forth, with image input. And the really cool thing is that you can use images that are in volumes, so that are already directly in Databricks and governed by Databricks, and do things like AI query, such and such model, such and such image, the volume location, and send that directly to the model, and the model can understand it with addition of your prompt, so whatever it is that you want to ask of it. So that's a huge one. I think the use case there is pretty direct to our needs, so that's good. And then two other things, or I guess one other thing. Two Anthropic models have been made available in our foundation model APIs. So the newest edition of Sonnet 4.5 and Opus 4.1. Opus is the one that's a little bit more thinky and planny, and then Sonnet is kind of the
Was that on the official release notes?
uh, no, that's just my experience. If I recall correctly, the Sonnet's the one that's a little bit more direct and I think perhaps a little smaller. And Opus is, like I said, the more thinky one. So,
Mhm.
so those two models are now available as part of the Databricks Foundation APIs.
So, I mean, we've got candy metadata, I guess, in our Delta tables. So, we could have things that are, yeah. So, I think you said having location in here, and then also our image, and then also metadata. Because you can put images in a Delta table, can't you?
You can. I'm not going to say that's the best use of it, but that's okay. This is, after all, a spooky over architected. So let's just say that we're sending the binary information. So just like the base 64 image data, just directly
Okay.
across the wire.
Let's hope we've all got terrible camera phones because I think that might start hitting the limit of how much we can ingest with Zerobus. But let's say we've all got
Push
really
it to the
old.
limit.
Yeah, this is like cutting edge technology. This. So we've got all of this at our Delta table, and then in terms of using this model, is this something that we'd use as part of Agent Bricks, or how does that work?
I guess the simplest version is it's landed in the Delta table, right? We have all that data there. And maybe we read that Delta table again as a stream and do some inference using AI query. Um,
Mm.
and give it a prompt to like take the comments, take the image, and output something,
Okay,
something,
right. So
something to do with candy. Yeah, just maybe like a 1 to 5 rating of the
yeah, yeah,
location.
yeah. Like stream, and then in
I love this
this
use case. This is great. We should just keep reusing it.
Yeah, what is the deepest, darkest depths of February? Oh, we'll still be talking about Halloween. Excellent. So AI query with a stream, and that's going to be multi modal. Excellent. And then this is going to be a delta table, and this is going to have like a classification, maybe like a worth it rating or something.
It should be how scary it is. It should be a scary rating,
Yeah, I guess what we could
obviously.
like take into account the location. Like if you're in central London, yeah, that's fine. But if you're like out in the sticks and it took you 10 hours to get there and the sweets or the candy is terrible, like it's also not worth it.
Fair. Wow. A weighted scale. This getting real fancy. Might have a real company on our hands.
So yeah, we've got like things like the proximity to office, because that's where we all live. And then the quality of the sweet, and then any kind of like relevant comments.
You could tell that this is a much better use case because we are describing it down to details with the words. This has never happened before.
Yeah,
We're just getting better.
excellent. What do you think of my implementation? Enough?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
It
Fun.
actually makes sense. It's kind of scary.
Okay, next up in data engineering is something new in Lakeflow for orchestration, and that is table update triggers. So this is the ability to trigger a job on when a table is updated. So previously, if you're trying to do a handoff with another team and you didn't have visibility on when their job would complete, you just kind of had to guess a bunch of SLAs, or you'd have to set up your own listeners, and that would be quite tricky. So this solves a lot of those problems. You get a lot of nice settings with it as well. So you can have like a minimum time in triggers between seconds, but you can also wait for the last change in seconds as well. So if you've got like one table that's being updated with 5 or 6 different batches, you wait until it's finished doing that, and then you carry on with your job. In terms of how many tables, it can be up to 10 per trigger. So if you've got a suite of tables that is working, you can use up to a combination of 10. And the changes that you can have, they can also get down specific to things like, was it updated, was it merged, or were there deletes that were happening in this table?
So first of all, amazing feature. I love additional types of triggers. Well, I remember when file arrival trigger arrived, and that was awesome. So having table just makes total sense. Amazing feature.
I also want to say it's probably a little bit simpler to set up than for the file arrival trigger, because there was 2 types, wasn't there? There was like the straightforward one that was easy to talk about, and then there was like the really big beefy one, if you
Mhm.
wanted to improve on it and scale it quite a lot. And that was a little bit trickier to set up, but I'm hoping this the table trigger is going to be easier for people compared to historically the file arrival version.
Fingers crossed that it
Yes.
doesn't get scary. Um, just gonna keep calling back to Halloween. So a natural place for this, which almost involves no additions, is we could set up a trigger on the first delta table. So we say, hey, we only want to run AI query and do the actual work, um, when new data arrives. So we don't have a continuous stream, and then neither do we have like a scheduled by minute stream. It just runs when the new data is available.
I think that's really clever, because then we could take into account kind of like peak trick or treating times across the globe.
So we're gonna write table trigger. Uh,
If you had this as a task, then you could have that as the task for your job.
okay. Oh, this is another thing. While we're on the subject, is that the triggers, I believe, are not on the task level; they're on the job level,
Oh, sorry.
which infuriates me. So whoever's responsible for that, please change that. Um, I don't know. Maybe the table
Ah,
one is
yeah,
different,
no,
but
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. That's a job, that box.
it's a job with a task.
Yes,
There we go. Trigger on new data with the new table trigger. Sound good? It's
perfect.
cool. You can just like I love this because you can just stack all these up, so you have kind of your entire pipeline just being fully derived from how fast data arrives. So I love it. AI feature? Not yet. Well, AI BI. We're going to talk about dashboards. All right.
Yes.
Dashboarding. There's so many new features in the last month, the last few months. The product is moving extremely fast. It's very exciting. Honestly, there was a great blog post that just came out, so I think it'll be concurrent with this video. It's kind of like the October roundup. Please go read that blog. We'll link it in the description. I'm going to choose three things that I thought were kind of the most interesting for me. The first is drill through. So you're familiar with the idea of drilling through. So you have some kind of visualization, and you want to take that data that you're looking at and drill through into another dashboard, into another visualization. Now, historically, you've needed to set the target explicitly. So a lot more work to actually define kind of what that drill through behavior is. But now it supports drill through directly on the source data that you're looking for. So if you don't set an explicit target, it just takes whatever source data you're looking for and carries that data over to the next view. So that's awesome. Of course, if you do have an explicit target set, that still works. So if you need that or want that, go ahead. The second thing is the waterfall chart visualization. I didn't even know what that was when I read it, but when I actually looked
in
at
my
it,
head, that's a Sankey diagram, but it's not, is it?
no. Although, yeah, no, it's not, but that's okay. There's all kinds of ways to interpret things. So the waterfall chart, probably the easiest example is a stock ticker, right? So a waterfall chart, essentially, you start with some initial value, right? And so let's say like the initial value is like a stock price, and then that's the y-axis, and on the x-axis you have time. And this is so funny. I'm describing a visualization on a visual podcast, like an idiot. So we will edit and pop up over my face a nice little diagram of a waterfall chart in the future, but I will continue to describe it nonetheless. And then the last thing, I'm very excited for it. It's kind of like, sorry, it didn't exist before, but we can now tag dashboards. Incredibly useful. And not only can you tag them, but you can also use that metadata to facilitate some kind of automation. So if you want to support promoting a bunch of dashboards based on time or based on some other events, the APIs allow that. But yes, dashboards now support tagging. So you can do something like work in progress, and then, a certified version. So that dashboard is actually certified and complete.
Okay, then, right. Yeah, thank you for coming for this medium about updates, but please also go to this other medium for updates as well. Okay, so I think this is very clear. I think I need to have a dashboard of all of my data. Dashboard, and I'm going to do some drill through stuff. But I think what I might also do, I think we're also going to do like some like distance mapping as well, and we can see how far we've walked. And I think what we're going to do, we're also going to do some quality of sweets. I think we're also going to do like calories in sweets. And now that we know how far we're walking, we know how many calories we're consuming from the sweets as well. I think we should have a candlestick diagram of calories consumed and burned.
Okay. Wait, okay, I'm gonna nitpick, tiny thing. Let's just call it waterfall since the name of the diagram is a waterfall.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's not candlestick diagrams. Sorry. Sorry, you said trading and I had like a candlestick diagram in my head there. And if you don't really understand what I'm on about, you could also do like a deep dive. It's not called deep dive again. Sorry, I promised I listened.
Drill through.
Drill through. Thank you.
Watch as Holly renames every product in Databricks.
Give it time, it will be renamed. Drill through of trends, but then we've also got lots of other trends as well that we could also do drill through to, and then we could tag it. We can tag it as spooky.
Nice. I like it. I can't wait to see this dashboard. I'm kind of going to give a in progress rating.
Okay.
This is like a 9 so far. This is like actually making sense.
Okay, well, I've got 2 features left for you, so
it.
let's not. I'll try not to screw it up, but I've already chosen the features I want to talk about. So, the next one is data classification. This is the ability for Databricks to scan the data that's in your lakehouse and make a guess about what is in there and whether that is something that should be tagged or flagged. So an example would be something like personally identifiable information or bank account numbers or the kind of data that you really should be keeping an eye on to make sure that it has got the right access levels. And so what it's going to do, you select which tables and which schemas you're interested in. It's going to kick off a job in the background, and it's going to come back with some tags of what it recommends. Those tags then apply, and then you can use that to kick off further things. So things like if you've got an ABAC policy for anything that's got a credit card number in it, you can then have that inherent the access management for that particular policy. So the full list of things that you can search for are things like credit card number, email address, bank account numbers, IP address, location, names, phone numbers, and then there are some US specific things as well, like social security number and driver's license. There are more to come. This is in beta at the moment. Oh, actually, last time I used it, it was in beta. I think it's in preview now. Is that the same thing anymore? I don't know. The one thing that I will say is that custom classifiers have also been requested a lot, so it wouldn't surprise me if that is something that is developed in future. In terms of what you get at the end of this, not only do you get a dashboard of here are the things that we found, you also get the reasoning of why that was applied in there and what was the justification. One of the nice things is if it flags something as, I don't know, let's say it flags a bunch of credit card numbers and actually it was test data and you don't really actually need to hide your test data from people, you can remove that tag and then it won't go ahead and reapply it. And if you go ahead and change the schema, if you add some more columns, it will go through and it will rescan it so that it is updated for you.
Awesome. I'm glad you mentioned the custom classifiers because it's like my
Yes.
first question. Obviously,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
want something built in so that I can just, type, easy UI, and extend the classification. I have a question just so I understand the limits of it because it will inform how easy my next chart drawing will be. And
Okay.
that is it, can I do a row level security on that? So it's not like the whole column is like blanked out just because like somebody has a weird value in some row.
So it's going to tag the table.
Okay.
And then I think it's the access based on that table.
Oh, this changes everything.
Why? What did you want it to do?
Well, I was just thinking that, we have the data coming in from our users and they can add comments, right?
Right.
So in those comments, you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
So I thought it would make sense if we could automatically classify and see whether and apply like, hey, this only an administrator can see this comment because, we don't want this propagating down or whatever. Seems like a very obvious use case. Um, you could, of course, implement it yourself. So I wish this was possible to do at the row level. Since we
Okay.
can't, that's okay. In our example little universe, we could still apply it to that first delta table.
Yeah.
Say, hey, keep this. So let's just do that. Let's write data classification. Do.
Uh,
And is this automatically enabled, or do I have to specify the table?
No, so it is something that you have to turn on. So do keep in mind that you do have to pay for the compute to scan your data. Now, it's probably going to be a lot cheaper than you kind of hand coding it yourself and kind of going through and scanning absolutely everything. It is probably one of the cheaper ways on the market to be able to do this. I presented this at an event recently, and someone said to me, "Yeah, but what's to stop me from running it once, getting the tags, and then turning it off again so you never scan it ever again?" I was like, I don't know, and I think you've just found a very cheap way to use this feature. Yeah, by all means, try that if you're not worried about new columns being added on.
Okay. I have my last features.
Okay,
So we just did AIBI dashboards. Now AIBI Genie.
cool.
Um, two things that I want to note. The first thing, this has been around for about a month, but we didn't get it. It was just on that border, so we didn't get a chance to talk about it last time. And that is that like the thinking traces for a Genie response. So it's like chain of thought, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing a bunch of work,
Mhm.
thinking. Those are now available and visible in the responses. So you can watch your model do that and evaluate how it's doing. So that's really useful. And the second bit has to do with benchmarks. Now, I don't think we've actually talked about benchmarks. So there's been a few quality of life improvements to benchmarks, but first I'm going to describe what benchmarks really is. So the easiest way to understand it, if you're at all familiar with the ML and particularly the Gen AI space and evals. Okay, looks good. Looks like you understand. So
Not a clue.
So benchmarks are basically evals, but like very easy to use for a Genie space, right? So what you can do is you can preset a bunch of test questions and kind of gold standard answers to those questions, apply them to a Genie space, and as you're changing that Genie room with additional data sets or additional metadata, there's all the things you can configure in a Genie room. You can constantly keep evaluating to see how is it doing on your sample set of questions. So that's benchmarks, basically very easy to use evals for Genie Space. And the improvements to benchmarks in the last month have been these three things. The first thing is that we've increased the number of questions from 100 to 500. It's a pretty big jump, 5x. And it's actually very important because for the same kind of question, you might have different phrases and different ways to ask it. And you want to be able to catch that variety, right? So you just need to have more questions in your test set to evaluate. So that's the first thing, excellent feature. The second thing is, and this dovetails with it, with the increase in the number of questions, it's also possible to only run a subset of those benchmark questions. So you don't have to rerun the entire, let's say you have 500 questions in your benchmark, you don't have to rerun all of them at once. So you can subselect just a few, just one, so on and so forth. And then the third thing is that you can actually configure the answers to your test set with SQL, UC SQL functions. So it's not just so you have some test question and you have some expected SQL that would run based on that question. So it used to be some kind of loose leaf, like, okay, here's the SQL that it should run. But now the gold answer can actually be a UC function. So that's part of the governance story and it's all linked together. So it's really, I think it's a great example of, like I said, the governance story and kind of what you get when you have this all on the same platform and all in Databricks. So
Cool. I love
that's
it.
Genie and benchmarks.
I think I know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to have a Genie space that goes with my dashboard. But what I'm going to do is my benchmarks I'm going to need so many of them because we've got so many different like localizations of suite types, or even candy, as you say, because we've got so many different types of terminology, which all mean similar or the same things. So, if I am asking questions and I'm like, hey, I want to understand how many people are collecting, I don't know, sherbet lemons. I don't think you have those in the US, which makes me really sad because they are my favorite sweets. Like what is the equivalent? Is it like a hard-boiled sweet? I don't really know. So I think this is what we need our benchmarking for, is for like sugar confectionery sweet localizations.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that was the benchmarking, and so we've got more for that. And then also for functions as well. I wonder if there's a nice function that we could have.
how about just like a returns a Boolean, spooky or not?
Okay, yeah, spooky or not, yeah. Spooky bool
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
function. Okay. When I next log into our DevRel environment, I want to see this coded up as one of our functions saved
Spooky
in our
girl.
Unity catalog.
Yeah, it's going to be a deterministic function, always true.
Excellent. And I guess the subsection of, once we get complaints that it's like, oh, that's not how you have sweets in Australia, we can update that and then rerun for a specific geography.
Okay,
How
awesome.
does that sound?
It sounds good.
I
This looks kind of good. I don't know.
I don't want to jinx it because I have my last feature and I hope this isn't going to completely ruin it for you. And my last feature for you today is the Google Sheets connector, where you can import Databricks as a plugin into a Google Sheet. And you can have a new IDE, which is of course Google Sheets, where you can write some SQL to return your data. Now, this is different from Delta sharing because that already has a connector, which is like sharing data to a sheet, and then any changes that you make to it, like that's just kind of like as it is. Whereas with this, you can submit some code to Databricks from Google Sheets and then return that data.
I feel like I got overwhelmed when you said Google Sheet, and I didn't really hear what the feature was. Okay. Okay, no, sorry, I still don't understand. Is this on the Google Sheet side or the Databricks side?
Yeah, so you basically have Google Sheets as your front end, and you can write some
Got it.
SQL in Google
Okay.
Sheets,
All
and
right.
the
Sorry.
compute is still Databricks.
Silly question.
I'm starting to doubt my job as like professional explainer of features now. The fact that it's taken me
No,
3
you just
times.
encountered somebody who is like not a Google Sheet person. I hate
Okay,
that sheet.
okay,
And so I'm stupid. I'm done.
okay.
Um, but what's in our Google Sheet, for this business, like for this use case?
You can give this to people that don't have access to Databricks, or that you don't want to give unfettered access to Databricks, and they just want to work in Google Sheets and then like push out the reports and like make little visualizations in Google Sheets and do other features which are available.
Okay. All right. So can I just stack it on top of dashboard? It just feels like
Yeah.
another way that we can use the data. I don't think
Yes.
I need to
Yes.
go crazy here. So let's Control C, Control V, Google Sheet. And now we have access to our data via a Google Sheet. So like you said, if our users who we don't want to give unfettered access to all the useful information about our candy, that would
Yeah.
be scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we just want like give some high level, gold level aggregated data, rather than kind of record by record.
This is crazy. Did we stumble into a reasonable architecture?
Uh, Maybe. I mean, I guess it is that time to rate it, and it seems that you're quite enamored with this month.
Well, I mean, we usually do so bad, sorry, that that this is kind of a breath of fresh air. It's scary. It just the theme, it's always scary. Everything's
Uh,
scary this today.
I think I'm gonna give this. I think I'm gonna give it a 9.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
9. I
it's
mean, we can't give anything a 10. Like it's just kind of not allowed.
no.
So, but it's not an 8.
Yeah, no, I think the only weaknesses might be the size of the photos for Zerobus. Gonna make sure that they go through a bit of compression in our app that we have before then.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
Compress it, downsample, black and
yeah.
white, the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay, then that's fine. And then the delta table, that's fine. Data classification, that works. And dashboard, yeah, I think that would be an interesting dashboard. I don't think I ever would have seen a dashboard about this topic before, ever, even in a fictitious example. So, 10 out of 10 for creativity. All right, that is it for this month. Do you agree? Do you think this is a 9? Would you make it a 10, or would you make it something significantly less? Please let us know in the comments. I will also leave links to all of the documentation and some of the guides that I promised from earlier on as well. With that in mind, goodbye and thank you. Good evening.
Uh,
You never look enthusiastic for this podcast to end, Nick.
that's the character I'm playing.